Hi everyone. Hi. Welcome to this commentary. Today, I'll be your commentator for round 5 of the AGA City League, Chicago versus Denver. Just a quick introduction. I'm Alan Huang, 7 Dan, and yeah, let's get into the games. We'll start with board 1. Board 1 is Albert versus Bowen. And Albert is playing with the black pieces and Bowen has white. And right off the bat, we see that Albert is playing one of his, well, actually, it's Bowen who is playing the one space high pincer, which is one of Albert's favorites, actually. I've played Albert quite a few times, and Albert actually really likes this one space high pincer. And the most critical variation, the variation that I think like most people are kind of scared to play nowadays because it leads to a lot of variations that you need to study with AI, is this like knight's move press. But Albert, given that he is a player of these one space high pincers himself, doesn't shy away from the complications and goes into the main line, which is like actually quite uncommon nowadays, I guess. I think a lot of people will like shy away from these like main lines just because they're like really long computer-esque lines where you have to know like a good amount of prep, and it kind of turns the game into a bit of like who has prepared more. So let's just get into what happened here. Yeah, so after the push cut, the main line is for black to seal white in, and essentially black is kind of arguing that like I want everything. Like I want to save both these 2 stones. I also want to save these 3 stones, and I'm going to essentially force white to spend an extra move in the corner. That's kind of like what black is going for. You can see that black is leaving like a lot of weaknesses. So kind of the reason why the fight ends up becoming what it does, and why like the AI lines kind of become what they are, is because like white doesn't really want to spend an extra move in the corner because that's a bit slow. And as black, you have like a ton of weaknesses, so you have to really deal with those while white's trying to take advantage of them. So the main line is for white to press a bunch on the 4th line in Sente. These are all fairly Sente because if black were to ignore any of them, oh, not the place stone change. If black were to connect, then this Hane double Hane on the side would be quite painful. This would be a result that would be not acceptable for black because this topside group is very much living way too small. So black has to continue answering, and then the point of these presses for white is to fight for this cut. These presses extend the liberties of white stones on the outside, and in doing so, white is able to get this Sente cut, and then it kind of becomes like a liberty race on the left side between the black 2 stones and the white 4 stones. So they're all following the main line. This empty triangle, which if you haven't seen like this type of this variation before, might look kind of strange to you, but the point is that like the liberty matters when black tries to play in the corner. So white wants to really feel the liberty, even though the shape is kind of ugly. And if you play from the other direction, then black is able to come out here. So you can kind of see that like actually that's the purpose of black's move here also, is to make like Miai of A and B. And the purpose of white's move is to I mean, A and B are still kind of mi, but as white, you can't really do anything about it. Um, let's, but you can you can take the sting out of this jump into the corner by filling in extra liberty. So this is the main line. I studied this once upon a time, but I don't recall the specific variations. The one thing I do recall, one like variation was like a variation where uh, black just like sacks it. I think this like turns. I think I've seen like this move before. This move and just sacks it. Um, but but Albert decides to jump out, which I recall seeing in this shape, but I don't recall ever seeing the jump in this variation. So yeah, this gets very tricky. White clamps in order to prevent black from running out any further. The thing with this clamp is actually it doesn't fully prevent black from running out because black has this counter clamp. If you pull back, I will connect underneath. If you go under, I can steal you from above and capture your two stones in this way. And if you Atari, then I have a code to escape. So there's some AGA on this side. Uh, since the game is in the early stages, there are no co-threats. So black is unable to this co immediately. So black plays this, presumably to create threats. I don't actually see the follow up though. I don't see a threat for black, so I'm wondering what Albert is planning with this. But then Albert Albert jumps, or Albert plays this counter clamp, uh, and I think we're caught up with the game. Um, taking a look through the YouTube comments, Dusk Eagle says this is a pincer I find hardest to play, and yeah, I think this is one of the pincers that has the most amount of like theory in the sense that like you have to really know what you're doing in a lot of these lines because they get kind of crazy. And also there's so many AI lines where like AI just wants black to like play here and Tanuki at some point, which makes it kind of hard to study. Yeah, that's for board one. I think we can switch to board two if right. Yeah, we're gonna be right back with board two. Okay, we're back with board two. Board two is Maxwell Chen versus Yan Jing. It's Maxwell, I believe, playing black. Let me double check on that. No, Maxwell is playing white. Yan is playing black. And we start off with a much more peaceful opening compared to the previous game. Both players are playing out their Joseki in the corners, playing their big moves. Black playing this corner enclosure, white's playing their own corner enclosure. And here we kind of see the first fight break out. This move is a very sharp point actually, against the Kosumi shape. It really strikes at the eye shape. So it's a pretty nice follow up to this this marked black stone. And the point of this is, well, I mean, I guess there's a lot of points to this move, but like it kind of creates some weaknesses in the shape. There's going to be some weaknesses if white doesn't defend the corner, or it makes it kind of annoying for white to defend the corner. One other like small note is if white decides to defend the corner in this way, the corner is actually not entirely alive, which is kind of annoying. It's alive if you decide to take the one stone, but then your outside gets cut in sente. But then if you decide to keep the connection of your outside stone, this shape is actually locally not a living shape. Because if you do this, I can squeeze, or if you want to connect the outside, that is, and this is locally not an alive shape. So this move, due to some of those like more subtle factors, is a move that kind of is a relatively aggressive way to play against these two stones. And so white plays the press and extend, which is a very common way to play against the two space extension. You're kind of pressing black down and at the same time getting your head out, because these two stones you don't want them to be hemmed in. Black plays this one, which is a very natural move. You're enclosing your corner, you're enclosing the second flank, and at the same time preventing this white stone from making a two-space extension. Now as white, you want to take care of your lone stone, so white plays this diagonal move. At this point, most people would be debating between the diagonal and jump. I think both of these are fairly natural moves to play at this stage of the game because your stone is weak. To give some, hard to say which one is better, but to give some thought process into how you would consider these is, if you play the jump, the weakness is that there is a second line attach, and that gives black, a potential connection. If white tries to sever the connection underneath, then black wraps around the top and is able to connect in this way. The diagonal is slightly slower, but it doesn't allow for that connection. Definitely still not to say that the diagonal is better than the jump. Still very hard to say which one is better, but that's the pros and cons. White plays the diagonal and jump, and then here it fixes efficiently, and then black decides to come out as well. You can see that with black coming out here. Now the one white group that gets weakened is this group. So as such, white is tempted to spend a move to answer, and I shouldn't say tempted. I should say like it becomes valuable for white to spend a move to strengthen the group that has become relatively weaker due to the set of exchanges that have happened on the top. And black pushes and connects, which seems slow, but it's a very solid way of playing. The reason being, if you don't connect, so there are a few factors at play here. One is we said before that white actually has a vulnerability here at A. If white were to, let's say black connects and white were to do something else, then this move is quite severe, because if you connect on the inside, then your outside gets cut off. If you connect on the outside, then your corner gets taken, and you also don't have a lot of eye space anymore. But with that said, black has their own weakness here at B, and as such, this is not really possible for the time being, because this gets cut. Actually, I'm not, maybe this works out tactically for black, but